What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the Modes and Routines app for Samsung devices. Now, like I said, this is for only Samsung devices. If you're familiar with the app called Tasker, it's kind of like an app that does like an if and then situation in order to automate your phone and make your life easier. It also has a modes section where you can toggle certain modes that you want during certain times of the day. For example, you're exercising or sleeping or you're relaxing, you can set different modes. So anyway, we're going to install this app and I'm going to show you guys how to automate your device to make it as powerful as possible. The first thing we're going to want to do, we're going to go to the store. This is the Samsung store and you want to make sure you have this app installed. So we're going to be searching for modes and routines. And it's me, this one here, the Samsung Electronics one that I already have installed. So I have it here sitting on my home screen because I use this app so often. And like I said, this is one of my favorite apps right next to GoodLock. If you guys are unfamiliar with GoodLock, you should check out that video too. I did a full tutorial on that as well. It's another Samsung app. So first thing here, we've got our Modes and Routines app, and there's two tabs at the bottom. You got your modes, you got your routines. So starting out with the modes, you can see here, these are all kind of pre-set up by Samsung, and you can even add different ones too, like add a custom mode if you wanted to, and have it do a certain thing. So we could do custom 2, and you could say like, I want this one for exercising, and I want it to turn on Do Not Disturb mode when I'm exercising, which there's already one here set up, and one of the ones I have already set up is sleep mode. So I can have this as a manual toggle, and when it turns on, it's going to turn on Do Not Disturb mode, as well as my Eye Comfort Shield, that blue light that they say is bad for you before you go to sleep. It turns on those two things, and then I can turn it off when I wake up. And you could also have it turn on automatically, say when you're sleeping. So you could say, okay, when I'm sleeping, I want this to turn on to be Do Not Disturb. Your phone kind of understands if you're sleeping or not. So I'm going to just discard this because I like it the way it is right now. And another thing you can do, we can set this up in our quick panel. And I already have it set up right here in modes. And if I click it, it's going to bring up the ones that I've pre-set up here. So sleep, relax, custom 2. And to get that into your quick panel, I'm going to go back to quick panel here. I'm going to hit this little pencil icon and hit edit for the full. And these are all the available buttons that you can add to your device. It's probably going to be down here by default. So you're going to have to add it. So like, for example, if you want to add one of these, you just pop it up there. So I put it right here. And then once you're done adding the icon, hit done, and now you've got yourself a little shortcut to your modes. And now for the more powerful part is the routines. And this is something that I use, like I said, almost every single day. In fact, I do use the routines every single day. So you've got your manual routines. We'll go over that one later. That's a more advanced routine. And then you've got your automatic routines. So I'm going to go through some of these just to give you guys some ideas of certain routines that you can set up for your own phone, and you can maybe get an idea of what I use for your own needs. So for example, Optimize Phone. This is a new one that actually was released in One UI 6.1. So how I have this set up is if specific time is 10 a.m. every single day, then optimize phone. And what optimizing the phone does is it clears the RAM processes, and this allows my phone to run even more smoothly. And if you guys are curious what phone I'm using here, this is a Samsung Galaxy Fold 6. However, this app will be available on other Samsung devices, this Modes and Routines. And just a quick rundown of how to set these up. So you got to think about it as an if and then scenario. So if something triggers, then do this. So for example, there's a bunch of things you can add in here. So if I'm driving, then you could say turn off my sound. So you do sound and vibration, and you could change your sound mode and volume. And you can say, all right, when I'm driving, I don't want to be disturbed by the sounds so I can listen to my music and whatnot. I want everything to be muted. And then you can say done. So now you have yourself a driving mode, auto detect, that's my car. And then do this, mute the sound with the ringtone off, notifications off and everything. And I actually do use that. But this is just an example of how you can set this up. And then the cool thing about the routines is you can set a when the routine ends. So in this case, when the routine ends, return to the state that it was before the routine ran. So it'll turn your phone back to sound or back to vibrate mode, depending on what mode it was in prior to the routine turning on. And you can select if you want to toggle this on and off. There might be some routines where you don't want it to return to the previous state once it's run. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this because I already have a similar one set up. And I'm just going to go down the line here and show you guys some of these other ones here. So like I said, I was using a Samsung Fold device. And when it's folded, I don't like having my auto rotate turned on. It just kind of is annoying and the screen's kind of narrow and it doesn't make much sense to me. But when I have the phone open, I do want auto rotate turned on. So in this case, if I have the folding status as completely closed, then I want to change the screen orientation to portrait. And then when the routine ends, essentially when the phone's opened back up again, I want the phone to be in an auto rotate. And this other one is very similar. This is when I have certain apps open, I want auto rotate to automatically activate. So for example, if I'm running YouTube, but I have my phone closed and I want to turn it sideways, but I want it to auto rotate, then I want certain apps to auto rotate when I'm in them, regardless if my phone is open or closed. So the next one here, this is a gaming performance mode. And this is very similar. If a specific app is opened, in this case, I just have Genshin Impact because that game uses quite a bit of resources from the GPU as well as the CPU, then change my performance profile to standard because I typically keep my performance profile in light in order to save battery. And then when the routine ends, return to the status it was in before, in which case that would be the light performance profile mode. Next one here, power saving, not charging on weekends. So if I'm staying at like a friend's house and I forget my charger, or maybe I'm crashing on someone's couch and I don't have my charger, then I have this one set up from 3 a.m. to 7:50 a.m. on the weekends and the phone is in a state that it's not charging. So in this case, I have two if scenarios. Both of these have to be true for the then scenario to work. So then turn on power saving mode. And I have a very similar profile here for weeknights. For example, maybe I'm in my bed and I'm on social media or Instagram and I fall asleep with my phone and I forget to plug it in, or I just don't end up plugging it in at all. This is the same thing from 12 a.m. to 5:50 a.m., which is about the time I get up for work, and it's in a state that's not charging. Turn on power saving. That way I can ensure that my alarm at least goes off in the morning because I do use my phone as an alarm. And also I'll at least have a little bit of battery to make it through until I find myself a charger. So these are kind of cool. These are location-based routines. This one is if I'm arriving at AMC. I have two different AMC theaters that I go to. If I'm arriving at AMC, if place, and you can set the location of the place in here. You can even set the radius when I arrive, and to improve accuracy, you could even use a Wi-Fi network. Then turn my phone to vibrate mode. That way I know when I arrive at the theater that I'm not going to be that one person in the middle of the theater where their phone goes off with their ringer at full blast and I'm trying to fumble around to turn it off, in the middle of the movie. And this one's the exact same, it's just a different theater. So then iComfort Shield, and this one looks like I have it disabled. This one is essentially, it turns on the iComfort Shield between a certain time period So from 9:45 p.m. to 6 a.m., it turns on the eye comfort shield to adaptive and then returns back to the original state when it's done. So these are two very similar ones to the arriving at the movie theaters. These are set up the exact same way. It's just like when I go to work, I don't want my ringtone on. So when I arrive at work, I want it to be set at vibrate mode. So this one here is when I'm connected to my home network. I have it turned back on my sound for ringtone, turn the ringtone to 73%, notifications to 33%, and system to 40%. And then battery level power save. This is if the battery level is below 9% to turn on power saving. So this way you can set your own power saving settings based on the percentage of your phone's battery that you want it to turn on at. And then read comfortably. This one is if I'm using the Kindle app to turn on the eye comfort shield so that I keep my eye strain down while I'm reading books and whatnot. And these last three, I'm going to be doing a follow-up video on. This is going to be how to turn your Fold device into Android Auto using certain commands through the Smart Assistant, as well as using the driving mode. And also this one changes the brightness when I'm connected to a vehicle. And I use these all three in conjunction to essentially make my little tablet into an Android Auto experience. So I'll be doing a follow-up video on that. If you guys are interested, subscribe to the channel. And the last thing I want to show you guys was the manual routines. And this one is a more advanced routine, and you will need to get in GoodLock Routines Plus. It adds advanced features to the modes and routines to make your modes and routines more powerful. So location-based quick access, run a touch macro. That's what I was going to show you guys next after this. Control arrow keys with the S Pen, fingerprint to go to a website. I think these are just some of the examples. Low battery announcement. So if I go back to modes and routines, this is a macro that I've set up with Routines Plus. And actually, I think will have to go back to Routines Plus to show you guys how to set this up. So back in Routines Plus, I can click this one here, run a touch macro. And I say if, I'm going to start a touch macro manually and then set touch macro. And you could do a touch macro in a specific app, or in this case, I'm just going to do it on the main screen just to show you how it works. So I'm just going to hit record here. And I'm just going to do a pull down the notification panel, pull up the notification panel, and you see these streaks on the screen. I'm going to hit stop. And I'm going to see if that makes sense to me. This is just an example. So pull down notification panel, pull up notification panel. Then I could save that, and that is a touch macro. In this case, I am not going to save that. I'm going to discard it. But once you save it, you can put it in here. I have one that's for GPU watch. That one adds a frame rate counter to my screen so I can monitor frame rates when I'm playing some games on my phone. So if I go back to the modes and routines, I have this GPU watch set up, and I also have it set up as a widget on my home screen. And this one actually only works if the phone is closed. So let me close it real quick and I'll show you guys what it does. So this is just so I can get to the GPU watch toggle in the developer settings faster. I have it set up over here. I'm just going to run it. So what it's going to do is going to open up my settings. Then it's going to go and click on developer options. It's going to scroll down and then scroll down a little bit more because I didn't make it all the way. And now it gets me directly to the GPU watch right here. And now I can click on GPU watch, toggle it on. And if I go back to my home screen, now you can see I have my CPU counter and my GPU counter and my current average FPS counter. So that's just one of the examples of a macro that I use so I can easily toggle on and off that feature, because I don't think there's an easy way to toggle it on and off without just going and finding it in the developer options. If you guys know of an easier way to toggle on GPU watch, please let me know down below in the comments. I would be more than happy to hear that. So anyway, that'll do it for this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below, Or if you guys have any tips and tricks or different routines that you'd like to share, throw those down in the comments. Consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, have a wonderful day.